This is TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast, and the State of the Saints podcast is brought to you by Manscaped.com. Over 2 million men worldwide choose Manscaped for all their below-the-waist needs. For those that love the Lawnmower 3.0, well, I got news for you. The Manscaped engineering team has confirmed that they have successfully created the Lawnmower 4.0. The Lawnmower 4.0 gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. The new trimmer even allows you to customize your trim all through additional guards lengths, sizes 1 through 4. And looks-wise, it's sleek with a two-tone matte and gloss finish, even features a hot foil stamp, black chrome Manscaped logo. Show your more off loud and proud. Go to manscaped.com, use the promo code STATEOFSAINTS, and you will save 20% off of the Lawnmower 4.0 as well as other Manscaped items. That's manscaped.com.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. And as I adjust my mic a little bit, thank you so much for being here. This is the podcast where we talk New Orleans Saints. Really do appreciate your time. Good afternoon to you if you're checking this out on a Tuesday afternoon. Really do appreciate your time. Shouts out to everybody that is filing in the chat. Come on. Come all. Come on up in this thing. Come on in the room. Because we got some things we need to talk about. Need to talk about the New Orleans Saints' first joint practice with the Green Bay Packers. Football is underway. We have 1 week of preseason under our belts. And as the Saints get prepared to take on the Green Bay Packers in game number 2 of preseason this Friday, these teams actually practiced together. The Saints headed up to Lambeau, and from what I hear, it was a very pleasant day. Shouts out to John Hendricks. Talked a little bit about it being 61 degrees. John, I'm extremely envious of you, as well as my guy Ross Jackson. But nevertheless, the New Orleans Saints practicing against another team. I think that this is extremely helpful. It's probably even more exciting for the Saints players, the fact that you had about 3 weeks of training camp, and now you have an opportunity to go out there to practice against not just any team, but a team where a lot of people are considering that team to come out of the NFC, which is the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers, whether you like them or not, rather you talk about their playoff exits over the last couple of years, you have to admit this is one of the best teams in all of the NFL. They have been one of the best teams. They have been the top seeds in the NFC for the last couple of years. They've had 13-3 records. Matt LaFleur in his debut led these guys to the NFC Championship game. They weren't successful. Once again, they followed that up, end up losing in the NFC Championship game once again, and finally in the divisional round against the San Francisco 49ers. But as much as we can kind of joke about that, you have to say that our Pats, when it comes to the playoffs, has been kind of similar. Very successful regular season teams, only to get put out by teams that they should have beaten. Plain and simple. But these two teams are going up against each other, and there's some great storylines coming out of Lambeau. You have to say that from everything that was said and all the things that I've heard, and also the people that I've reached out to that were there, it was said that the offense kind of struggled a little bit. Andy Dalton snapped back to reality, went back, came back down to earth. He's been riding high, if you will. He had a really good performance. Of course, we know about the 10-play, 69-yard drive that he facilitated to open up preseason, but he struggled today. He struggled today to find some receivers that were open. A couple passes he wasn't able to connect on. But they kind of weathered the storm a little bit in the red zone drills that took place. But the offense, it seemed like to me, it kind of sputtered a tad bit. Heard about some good runs by Alvin Kamara, which is a good thing, and also heard some issues when it came to the offensive line. The Green Bay Packers front line was actually getting pressure on Andy Dalton, which caused him not to be able to create some of the passes. And of course, you have some banter going on, a lot of jawing out there by Rasul Douglas, the cornerback of the Green Bay Packers, and Michael Thomas. So these guys, they're not playing out there, man. They're not joking. This is their livelihood. This is how they pay the bills. This is how the rent, phone, and lights stay on. So these guys aren't just out there having a good time and enjoying Wisconsin weather on an August afternoon. These guys are trying to do whatever they can in order for them to be a successful football team this season. As far as the defense, as advertised, the defense of the New Orleans Saints stepped up, really did a really good job. If you checked out Marshawn Lattimore, he had a quote. He said that he felt like the defense dominated today. And that's no surprise, man, because, a lot of those guys, I know we say we don't pay attention to the numbers, the rankings and stuff like that, but these guys do. And when you hear that you're at the bottom of the NFL top 100 or you're not even there at all, and then you actually have an opportunity to basically go against a team that a lot of people are saying that the cornerback that represents that team is better than you, you better believe that this guy stepped up, and you better believe that these guys took this extremely personal. A lot of people are saying that the Green Bay Packers are going to have a really good defense, and this is the team. This is the team, right? And when you're trying to prove something, when everybody's saying that you're not good enough, when everybody's saying that, the over-under is 8.5 of wins that you're going to have this season, and you're going up against the team that everybody is talking about is Super Bowl bound, yes, you take that extremely personal. But the defense stepped up. They did what they needed to do. They were impressive, and that's what you're going to need this season. You're going to need it this season, Who Dat Nation. You're going to need this defense. I know we're extremely excited about the offense and all of the weapons that they possess, but you need a good defense. You need a defense to be able to make stops, to put the ball back into the hands of the offense, to give them more and more opportunities to be successful. So, long story short, very productive day of practice, all things considered. Some guys that stood out today. Alvin Kamara, of course. I mean, that's no surprise to absolutely anybody. Chase Hansen had a really good practice performance as well. So he's following up from that preseason game. So if he continues to do what he's doing, he's definitely going to make the team. Rashid Shaheed actually was fielding some punts. This is the second week in a row that we are not seeing Deontay Hardy out there. Should we be concerned about that? Shouts out to the guys over there on Saints Twitter. They were talking about that. I got to give them props. They even said that when they appeared on the State of the Saints podcast, that maybe Deontay Hardy may be in risk of not making the team. Because, I mean, last preseason game, I didn't even know he played. I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked that Deontay Hardy actually played. I was looking for him. He was out there for a couple plays, but not to a point where you actually saw him, as part of the offense. Should we be concerned about that? I mean, I think we just look at Deontay Hardy as a no-brainer. Oh, he's one of the best kick returners in all of the league, and this is going to be our guy. Maybe that is the case. Maybe the Saints automatically know that this is going to be our return guy. He's going to be the guy. He's had so much success his first year, right? He was an all-pro, right, as a kick returner. Who knows? I mean, this is very troubling, man. The fact that we're not hearing Deontay Hardy's name come up. I mean, are you sure that he's going to be a part of that offensive rotation? We just automatically assumed that he was going to be taking the top off the defense alongside Chris Olave. So should we be concerned about Deontay Hardy? I want to believe that the New Orleans Saints are not just going to cut him. I just don't believe that. I don't feel that way, because even if these guys are returning punts and they're doing a really good job, I mean, Deontay Hardy has proven that he's one of the best kick returns in all the league, and we've seen on countless occasions, because of his contributions on special teams, the Saints were able to flip the field and also get really good field position. So it's going to be tough for him not to make this team, but I am extremely concerned that I'm not seeing more activity coming from Deontay Hardy. But I want to hear from you all. I'm going to go ahead and read the comments once again. Thank you all for being here. Shouts out to everybody in the chat, everybody that's watching at home, at work, listening on the go. Thank you for making the State of the Saints podcast what it is. We got 175 people watching this thing live, and I ask that 175 of you hit that like button. And if you're one of the 175 that's actually looking at this right now, watch the State of the Saints podcast consistently, I ask that you hit the subscribe button. We are on a mission. We are on a mission to 10,000 subscribers, and I'm asking every last member of the Who Dat Nation, in the words of my grandfather, on the sound of my weak voice, to hit that subscription button so we can be on that road a little bit closer to 10,000 subscribers. I cannot believe I'm saying that. That is unbelievable. I wouldn't have thought in my wildest dreams, starting this show, we would have been close to 10,000 subscribers. Unfreaking believable. But let's go ahead and read some of these comments. Terry says, hopefully Two Pistols plays tomorrow. And it's funny you said that, man. Cause I was last night. I was listening to Two Pistols. You remember that? So she got it. Two Pistols and T-Pain. You know she got it cause she looking at me like she want it. Then drop it low, gonna put some D's on it. I was actually listening to that last night, man. But yeah, man. Michael Thomas be talking to folk like he Suge Knight, so I'm not surprised he got into it with a corner. Demetrius, yeah, man. Michael Thomas he's not going to be mistaken for a motivational speaker whatsoever. I just think that he's like socially awkward. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm being real. Like, I think that when it comes to like him being interviewed and stuff like that, I kind of understand why he doesn't want to do interviews a lot. He just kind of socially awkward. He was kind of socially awkward when he won Offensive Player of the Year. It's like they kind of edited his speech, and all of a sudden they put something on the teleprompter for him to read. But when he gets out there on that field, man, he know what he doing. You know what I'm saying? He know how to get into the head of some of these guys, and he does a really good job. I said X Factor, but I mean an important piece to success. That's why I say Ruiz, Pete, and Davenport. Davenport winning lineup takes D to next level, and Ruiz and Pete having good years is critical for off. Okay. No cap, no filter. I guess you're referring to yesterday. Yes, I do remember that conversation. So I thank you for clarifying that. Yesterday, No Cap, No Filter asked me about X Factor. So he's trying to clarify what he actually meant by that statement, man. But I appreciate that. And yeah, that's a very good point. You know, those are some guys, if the light comes on and if they play better and be more productive, then the Saints can have more success than they had last season. They'll be an even more dangerous football team. Wallace says, who that, TJ? Will you tell everybody stop panicking? The New Orleans Saints is going to the Super Bowl this year. Well, Wallace, you know, I never jump out the window for absolutely no team, okay? Or nobody, for the except maybe my wife and my son. I jump clean up out the window, including my mama too, and, you know, members of my family. But besides this, as far as like saying that the Saints going to the Super Bowl, I have confidence that they have what it takes to make the Super Bowl, but I'm not going to just say they're going to make the Super Bowl. I mean, that's just not me. Do I feel like they have the pieces to make the Super Bowl? Absolutely. Do I feel like people need to panic? Absolutely not. Why are you panicking? What's that going to serve? This is a good team, and this team has done everything that they possibly can to become better than they were last season. That includes adding to the offense. That includes beefing up the depth chart when it comes to the defense. Why are we panicking? This seems like a team that is trying to over-prepare for things that can happen. And that's the best thing for you to do, is for you to prepare, right? Teams that are unprepared for situations, those are the ones that are left on the outside looking in. But the ones that prepare, and not only when they lose individuals, they sign and they draft individuals that are better or perceived as better than what they lost. What more can you ask for? And I understand. As a Saints fan, we panic because it just seems like everything should go the right way, right? But that's not how Saints football works. If you've been following Saints football as long as I have, I've been on this earth 36 years. I was old enough to appreciate Saints football when I was about 5. Okay, so I'll say about 31 years of my life I've dedicated to this team. And I've seen some highs and I've definitely seen some lows. And I've seen some lows when they should have been highs, and I've seen some highs when they should have been lows. But this team is doing everything that it can in order for them to be successful. And that's all we can ask for. You never know how things are going to turn out. You can go out there and you can try to find your definition of an all Madden team, and it still may not equate to Super Bowl success. But they're doing all the right things that you need to see in order for you to feel comfortable about this team. Man, that's a name I ain't heard in forever. 2 Pistols. Yeah, it's crazy, man, because my wife was making fun of me, right? What else is new? Shouts out to my wife. I'm always the butt of her jokes. But she was talking about the era, that I grew up in. I went to college in. I graduated from high school in 2004. So from 2004 to 2008, I was in college. And y'all know that was when the Lil Jon Eastside Boys was out, them Franchise Boys, Fabo and all that. She was making fun of that. She's like, when we go out, you'd still be dancing like that. Those dances still in style. So I just started putting music on Alexa and just dancing around, making her laugh, or trying to make her laugh. She don't really think I'm that funny, but I was trying to just make her laugh or whatever. And I put on 2 Pistols, okay? And that was the jam back in the day, man. That was the jam. I know some people out there know that era pretty well. I know I ain't the only one in this room right now. Well, I'm the only one in the room right now, but the ones out there, okay? The ones out there, I know y'all understand where I'm coming from, right? I know I ain't the only one that used to be rocking out to some of those joints. Keen Arthur says, Chase is trying to make the 53. TJ, how much playing time can he realistically get if he makes the team? Keen Arthur, I think he has a chance to get significant playing time. If you're a linebacker, the Saints rotate linebackers quite often. You don't really, for the exception of DeMario, you have packages where you will probably see different linebackers. There were times where Pete Warner was on the sidelines and you seen Quan in the game, and vice versa, and then you seen Caden Ellis. So there will be packages that he will be a part of. So I think if he continues to play the way that he's playing right now, if he continues to work the way he's working right now, I think he can get substantial time on the field. He knows the team know him, and it just seems like to me like he's getting better every week, and I don't think that this is a coincidence at this point. Okay, you're doing it not only in a game versus Houston, but you follow that up going up against a very formidable team in the Green Bay Packers, and your number is still being called and your name is mentioned. That's a good thing. Ruiz and Pete will help screen run and pass game. Give running backs Lane and Winston time especially versus guys like Aaron Donald. These guys can't get pushed around like the Vikings in 2020 playoff game. They are key. Well, I don't think that they were. Well, let me see. I gotta check it out. I don't know if Cesar Ruiz was not a part of that game. Andrews Pete was. I think Larry Warford was in that game. And he was around that thing getting pushed around, and that was like, that was when he was basically getting slapped around, and that's when Danielle Hunter and I won't say Everson Griffin, they put them like in the middle, and they were like going up against Pete and Warford, and they were dominating. Cesar Ruiz wasn't a part of that yet. He got drafted that year, But in that playoff game, he wasn't on the team yet. He was still in college. He was on his way to the NFL. Man, if we keep Traquan, we better keep Hardy. Well, I think you have to look at what they service, right? I agree with you when you look at one, you feel like one is better than the other. I mean, as a wide receiver, you have to say Deontay Hardy is a better receiver than Traquan. But the one thing that Traquan has going for him is his blocking ability. I don't think y'all really understand this. And for some of my former wide receivers out there, if you ever play wide receiver on any type of level, high school, college, what have you, coaches like when you can block. And when you can block, you might get more opportunities. And not to mention, even though Traquan is a little bit fragile himself, when you look at a guy like Deontay Hardy, coaches, organizations have a tendency of kind of looking away from guys that are on a smaller side like him because they feel like how much can he actually do? And you look at a guy like Traquan who's about 6'3", about 210 maybe. You know, like that's a plus. So you have to look at like the quality of the player. You also have to look at the upside of the player. So as far as being better, I think you got to go with Hardy. But what do I know? All the other plays like AK, Mike T, etc., pretty much going to show up long as they're healthy. Well, there are some guys you can count on, no cap, no filter. And those are some guys that you can count on. Alvin Kamara is about as consistent as running water when you pay your bill. Okay, he's about as consistent as the mother of the church showing up on Sunday. He's consistent. So if he's in the game, you know that he's going to show up. Same thing with Michael Thomas. I know how some people may feel right now. Right? I hear the whispers. Not everybody. Maybe you're not even here. Maybe I'm not even talking about you. But there are some Saints fans out there that are still looking at some of these shows and getting scared and getting spooked by some of the dialogue just because a person has a check mark by their name and just because they have a syndicated show, we just automatically just think these people know what the hell they're talking about. But they are no different between anybody that just out here creating podcasts, creating videos, spitballing it. The only thing is they got bigger production value. That's about it. But they're starting to get nervous and they're starting to become afraid because these people are talking about, well, Michael Thomas has been gone for X amount of time. What's going to happen? Is he going to be the same player? And they get on Twitter and they mimic what these guys are saying or these ladies are saying. And then all of a sudden, you're starting to get a little nervous. But I am not. I am not nervous about Michael Thomas because anybody that knows Michael Thomas, anybody that has followed Michael Thomas's career, you know that Michael Thomas plays better with a chip on his shoulder. When you have 5 wide receivers drafted before you, right? You come into the league with very little fanfare, not even drafted to be the number 1 guy on your team because at the time it was Brandon Cooks. And we all know behind the scenes they had some issues, right? They kind of blew it off, to make sure that there was no scrutiny, but come on, right? You weren't even the number 1 guy there. You weren't considered as one of the best. So you basically had to go out there with a lunch pail mentality, right? A lunch pail mentality and go to work. And you grinded, right? And you were the guy. You were the first guy there. You was the last guy to leave. You were still there as the manager was turning off the lights and he was getting to his car and he seen you in the distance still working. And then all of a sudden, he was like, hey, man, maybe we need to look at that guy, right? He has promise. He has something right there. He has drive. That's the definition of Michael Thomas. He has a chip on his shoulder. He was given absolutely nothing, and he worked as hard as he possibly can for us as fans to believe in him and the NFL to believe in him as one of the top receivers in the league. And I'm not buying the nonsense that is being sold to the masses about if guys are out, all of a sudden they just automatically don't know how to play anymore. Or they automatically just got to fall to the back of the line. And especially don't be feeding me that nonsense when every single year you have guys like Christian McCaffrey who has played 10 games out of 33 games, he's played 10, right? So he's missed 23 games, and yet everybody's still throwing Chris McCaffrey in my face. So don't tell me on one hand that, oh, this player right here dealing with a knee injury, right? That is way more detrimental to a running back versus a guy that's been dealing with an ankle injury that has been 100% healed. But you're telling me over here that this guy right here, oh man, that injury right there, he ain't gonna come back for it. But this guy out here, he can still sit down, and no matter where he goes, no matter how long he's out, we still gonna mention Jim Brown, we still gonna mention Dalvin Cook, we still gonna mention whoever in the best running backs in the league, we still gonna put him in there. We still gonna put him at the top because no matter what he is him. So on one, you can't sell me one thing and then want me to buy something else that's completely different. I'm not buying it. What I'm saying is Michael Thomas is one of the best wide receivers in football, and I don't care if he has been removed from football for a while. You cannot just discredit what a guy has done throughout his career just because he had a little bit of a setback. And it's too much of this nonsense going on right here. And it's too much of us believing the nonsense. And it's too many people that are feeding into the nonsense and that's believing the hype. These people are no different they're no different from you and me. I keep telling people this. They're no different from you and me at all. You know, so I'm not buying it, and you shouldn't buy it. Will you be recording the game to watch them this year, TJ? Will I be recording the games? No, I will not. Okay, look, I'm very superstitious. If you've been following this show, you know I'm superstitious. Every time my favorite team loses, more times than not, you know, because I record a game. Every time I record a game, the team that I root for loses. Okay, I feel responsible that Jackson State lost to South Carolina State in the Heritage Bowl because I recorded the game because at the time I was working, and I feel responsible for that. I feel like I let my team down. I feel like I let my university down by pressing record on the DVR. So no, if my wife tells me I need you to go to the store real quick or I need you to do something, guess what? I'm not going to record the game. I'm going to listen to it on the radio in real time. I'm not going to pause it or nothing. I'm not going to press rewind. I ain't going to be kind and rewind like I used to do at Blockbuster Video. I ain't going to do that. All right? I'm going to watch it live. In the words of Bill O'Reilly, we're going to do it live. We're going to do it live, man. We're going to do it live, but we ain't doing it at all. I refuse. I refuse to record a game. Be like Bernie Mac on Booty Code. I want you to raise your right hand and say, I would never, ever, for real, like I will never, ever record another Saints game. I won't. I'm extremely superstitious. I'm serious. I will not record another Saints game. I would not record a game that, matter of fact, I am not going to record any game of a team that I want to win desperately. I'm not. So I feel responsible for that. Scroll down a little bit, man. Thank y'all for being here. 254 people, 247 watching this live. Thank you so much. Out of 247, if you have not hit the like button, please hit the like button. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Okay, that's gonna be a reoccurring thing throughout the show. If you have not subscribed, because there's a lot of people that watch this show consistently but don't subscribe. What are you waiting for? And sometimes people are like, man, I can't catch it live. I ain't catch it live. And don't be subscribed to the channel. Come on, man. What we doing? Hey, TJ, what's your thoughts on the signing of Jon Bostic? I'm sure his linebacker experience should help him transition to the defense. Hopefully, he will be productive. Well, Jon Bostic, pretty decent linebacker. You know, I remember watching him, you know, as he was playing in the NFC East. He comes from Florida. I think he's about 30 years old. I watched him when he was in college. He's been productive. And I think that, you know, there's a place for him. You know, you got to bring some guys in to compete. If you're not satisfied with what you have, there's always opportunities for you to try to find other guys that can come in and maybe give you a little bit more production. And that's what I've been telling people. See, we expect for the New Orleans Saints and want the New Orleans Saints to just go out here and aggressively sign disgruntled linebackers like Roquan Smith. But you got to think about this, folks. You got to think about the guys that you want to pay. You got to think about the guys that you have to pay in the future. And you got to think about, do you want to be committed, fully committed to this particular person? And at the same time, you have to make a tough decision over here. Sometimes you have to count on a developmental process. You have to, man. You have guys like Alontae Taylor coming out of the University of Tennessee. We're expecting for this guy to be a really good cornerback. That way, if, Bradley Roby want to get paid one day, or maybe Paulson Adebo play his way out in New Orleans, you'll probably have somebody that can go out there and be productive. Now, it's going to be a tough thing, because if Paulson Adebo continues to, be on the uptick, you're going to have to pay this dude a lot of money. And, he's going to be up for, a contract in a couple of years. And around that time, you might be thinking about, what you're going to do with Lattimore. Because around that time, with Lattimore be like in his ninth year. So, man, it's going to be tough. So you expect for the guys that you draft, you expect for your coaching staff to develop these guys and to be formidable players. So, sometimes, I know these guys are attractive when it comes to like their production on the field, right? But you can't just automatically just say, oh man, I don't recognize this guy. Where he come from? Utah State, where he come from? And you don't recognize him, you don't remember watching him playing college football. That don't mean that the guy can't be productive. And that don't mean that guy doesn't have promise. I mean, how many Trey Hendrickson games did we watch? How many Florida Atlantic games we seen him play? I ain't seen. I know I seen a few. But as far as watching, being a diehard Florida Atlantic watcher, for me to say Trey Hendrickson was the truth, like, come on, man. It takes a guy to come in, buy in, and organizations to develop these guys for us to start believing in them. I mean, we didn't know if Carl Granderson had any promise, but he does, right? Because you took a chance on him. You didn't know, Davenport was going to be, unstoppable on, from time to time. I mean, he went to UTSA. How many University of Texas San Antonio games you watched? I ain't watched many Road Runner games, okay? I wouldn't know the UTSA Road Runner from the actual Looney Tunes Road Runner. But that's what you do. You bring guys in, you develop them, and you hope they work out. Tim, thank you very much for the $5. Says, and TJ, the fact that Mike T was out or a whole year means that a lot of CBS are not used to his game, yet he still got an advantage. Yeah, I mean, that's true, man. There's a lot of guys out there that's not familiar with the play of Michael Thomas, and then on top of that, I think Dennis Allen said it best. It's like, adding a draft pick to your team, right? When you got a Chris Olave and then all of a sudden you have a Michael Thomas who wasn't there last year. It's like having two top picks there, because teams wasn't preparing for Michael Thomas, and neither were they preparing for Chris Olave last year. So, and if you add Jarvis Landry, that's even more better. I mean, Jarvis Landry was playing last year. I mean, it was in Cleveland, but it's a whole different beast. So yes, there are teams that are not familiar with it. You can go get some film, but you don't know the type of player he has become, or the things that he learned along the way while he was out. Samuel, thank you very much for the $4.99. Says Super Bowl 58 players signed CZ of COVID and injuries. 4 starting quarterbacks went 9-8. Rams choked. Week 18, 49ers had the easiest schedule, 32nd, and we had the 8 hardest. Well, Samuel, look, last year was last year, and I guess that's what you're talking about there. Okay, you were talking about last season. Okay, I agree. As far as the Saints having a hard time, but this happens when you win a lot. This happens when you're at the top of the division. This happens when you come in second place. This happens when you actually win a division, right? You get a harder schedule versus a team that didn't win the division, third in the division, you get a third place schedule. Fourth in your division, you get the weakest schedule. That's just kind of how it goes. The last place teams play the last place teams. First place teams play first place teams. So that the Saints are a product of their own success. So when you seeing some of the top teams rolling into town, when you seeing the Saints taking on Kansas City, that's because the Saints are an extremely successful organization, right? So let's eliminate that. Look, you play the guys that are lined up in front of you, right? That's just how it goes. Okay, saying, oh man, they played them and we would have beat them. Who cares? Okay, you have to be able to win. And I can't knock the 49ers because the same team the Saints are practicing with today, if you're watching this on a Tuesday, was the number 1 seed, and that same 49er team that you said had a weak schedule went into Lambeau. Okay, a warm climate team went into a cold climate environment and won. When everybody says, once again, stop listening to these folks, that warm climate teams can't win in a cold. Stop it with that. That team won. Okay, they went into Dallas. I mean, you can talk about Dallas all you want to, but they won a division and it was a home game, and that team won. And they played really formidable versus their rival in the Los Angeles Rams, and they, they were one game away from the Super Bowl. So, I mean, you go with the teams that you play, and you just go out there and you perform. Who knows? The same conversation that we're having about the 49ers, Sam, could be the same conversation could have happened with the Saints. Saints could have been that team. Came into the playoffs, went on the road. They had a really good defense. It's not like, the offense sucked last year. Let's just be real. But it wasn't to a point where you're like, okay, if the defense plays lights out, maybe a few opportunities for the offense, maybe we can do a little something. So the Saints could have easily been the 49ers, but that's just the way that it goes. But it was last year. We moved on. We feel like we've gotten better on both sides of the football, and let's see where we at. Okay, we didn't win the division last year. The Bucks won that, so the Bucks get the first place schedule. Saints get the second place schedule. So let's see what they do from there. But, we'll see. TJ, why aren't we patient with players? We expect them to be an instant success when they hit the league. It's a different speed and caliber of competition from college. Some take a few years too. I agree. But that's just the impatience of I don't even want to say Saints fans. That's every fan base. Every fan base expects when a team drafts a guy for him to be ready at all times. Like him to be ready as soon as they draft him, because they feel like that team did the work. That team did all the evaluating. They did all the scouting. They stayed up all night watching all the film. They looked for the little stuff that the guy did. They found out if the guy's taking plays off or he has a high motor. And we expect for those guys to come out there, and if they draft a linebacker, like we expect DeMarco Jackson to be the second coming of Ray Lewis or something, sideline to sideline. If he misses a tackle, why do we draft him? If he stumbles down while he covering somebody, man, get this bum up out of here. You got people out here that's criticizing Pete Warner. This guy's going into his second season. We already trying to create a stigma on this man. Oh, man, look at him. He injury prone. The man just got to the league. How in the world is the dude injury prone? How has he developed a reputation already? 1 year into his NFL career, this is going to his second year. How has he already developed a reputation for being injury prone? But that's the way that we do things. We are not patient because we want what these other teams have. And we get upset when we watch teams that have been snake bitten, like the Cincinnati Bengals, make it to the Super Bowl, right? We get upset when we watch snake bitten franchises like the Bucks in your own division make the Super Bowl and win it. And we're like, man, we had all this success all these years, man. And all of that frustration gets bottled up throughout the years. The controversial 9 call, the Minneapolis Miracle, the collapse at home versus the Vikings. All that stuff starts to bottle up and we become impatient. And you add that once again to the frustration of watching snake-bitten teams who have missed the playoffs year after year and whiffed on draft picks year after year, show up to the Super Bowl before you do, you become frustrated. And you want to be able to find ways to navigate and win these games that you feel like are the toughest in order for you to be successful and for you to feel successful as a fan. So that's where the impatience comes from. And we feel like the best way for you to get out of this situation, the best way for you to be able to win consistently is for you to get players, or your team to get players that are recognizable. And if a guy isn't recognizable, he's not good enough. That's not what we need. We don't need a guy that's considered a project. We don't need a guy that's considered a guy that's going to be good in the next 2 to 3 years. We need a guy that's going to win right now. That's why, we throwing babies in the air when we draft people like Chris Olave, because he's a sure thing, right? It's very rare that we're starting to see the Saints drafting guys that we consider a sure thing. You have to go back with that. You got to go back pretty far for you to find that out. Like maybe, Reggie Bush, he had good moments. Brandon Cooks, he had pretty good moments. But guys that for a fact you watch play on a big stage and performed well, we feel more comfortable with recognizable individuals. So that's the reason why people are impatient. They want to feel like a champion. They want all this success, all these regular season wins, all these touchdowns, all these records to be solidified by championship success. So in ways, I can't knock them for feeling that way. But at the same time, we also have to understand that we have to trust the process. And at one time, like, you may have known who Michael Thomas was at Ohio State. But Michael Thomas was not the best wide receiver at Ohio State. He wasn't. Smith was, the one that was drafted to the Jets that had, injury history. He was the best on that team at the time Michael Thomas was there. And you add on Ezekiel Elliott, who was the 4th overall pick in that, in the draft. So he wasn't even the best player. And a lot of us, if we thought Michael Thomas was going to be pretty good, but we didn't expect Michael Thomas to be this good. But it took some time. It took some development, right? It took the Saints system, to work with him alongside with Drew Brees in order for us to feel comfortable and be excited. Even Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara had good moments in college, but was he the best running back? Did you recognize Alvin Kamara that much? Maybe if you knee deep in SEC football, college football, maybe you know about Alvin because, he played at Alabama, moved around a little bit. But the most casual fan, like, you just hoping, right? When Sean Payton comes out here and says he reminds me of Marshall Faulk, we just hope that it had to be true. Right? How many times did Sean Payton say somebody reminded him of somebody that didn't pan out? Right? Taysom Hill was supposed to be Steve Young. I ain't seen. The only thing he has in common with Steve Young is that he went to the same school that Steve Young's grandfather built. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's about the only similarity they have. So the only thing we can do is just count on that and respect the process. Right? So we got to be able to be more patient, because if we become more patient, I think that it'll pay dividends. And I think one player who still plays for the team right now should have taught us that, and that's Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram came in with a lot of fanfare, right? Heisman Trophy winner. Supposed to be like the next coming of Emmitt Smith, right? And he had some down seasons. And you had a lot of Saints fans that felt like the Saints need to get rid of him. But before Mark Ingram left, around year 4, year 5, you seen like 2 or 3 years of real good production from Mark Ingram. And Mark Ingram became a fan favorite. But what would have happened if we would have allowed those first 3 or 4 years to allow us to feel like Mark Ingram wasn't the guy? We probably wouldn't have got that production, because he wasn't a very good pass catcher coming out of college. But the first time around, before he left, he was like mirroring Pierre Thomas when it came to the screen game, and also running in between the tackles. So we have to be patient with guys. Just because, guys don't give you exactly what you want at that particular time, does not mean that we just need to throw those guys away. But I completely understand, because all that success and not getting major results can be frustrating. Sam, thank you very much for the 199. Said that's why this year we're going to the Super Bowl. Well, I hope you're right. I hope you're right, man. I definitely hope you're right. Marvin, how about Saints 34 Falcons? Barbara gonna make the Saints goose egg a team, man. Every fan base can be annoying and obnoxious at times and filled with illogical casuals. We just noticed within the Who Dat Nation a lot, because proximity, and we follow a ton of Saints fans on toxic Twitter. Look, here's the thing. There are a lot of fans out there, Saints fans, that they attach a lot of their feelings and a lot of their views to people because they have blue check marks. I'm serious. Like, there's not a day or a time that goes by that I don't see an email from an individual and they make a point to me, and they then follow up that point by showing me a tweet from a guy with a check mark. Like, what's that to me? Like, who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care. Like, yes, these people have worked extremely hard to get where they are. I'm happy for them. They burned the midnight oil. They talked to the right people, doing all the right things. You know, Mazel tov. You know, like, good for you. But that doesn't mean that that person is just right just because of that. And they believe these individuals. And they don't understand that your opinion is just as valuable as theirs. And it's even more valuable when you actually follow the team. When you following the team constantly. When you are eat, sleep, breathing this thing. When you are dedicating your time to listening to some of the people that are on the ground, like Ross, like Jeff Nowak, you know what I'm saying? Like Luke, you know, like Nick. People that are on the ground that constantly put out Saints commentary, burn the midnight oil, watching film, and you investing your time to do that. To me, you are more qualified than they are. Versus a person that their primary focus is to make sure that they please the stockholders and the sponsors. Now, I'm not saying that they don't know what they're talking about, but they do not have a grasp on Saint football like you do. So why are you trying to use what they're saying to validate your point? I have absolutely no idea. Your point is just as valuable, if not more, than theirs. I don't want people to understand. I want people to understand this. You have more power than you think. You have more influence than you think. Just because a person is behind a microphone, like myself, that doesn't mean that I know more than a person. A person can't tell me. It was yesterday when I was talking about the cut list. People were telling me, oh man, the Saints have to cut 5 players, right? I was informed by people. How did you get that information? Because you researched. So what's the difference? That's all I'm saying. I want people to understand that. But back to my original point. Okay? You cannot just listen to those individuals all the time. You can't. You can't listen to them, and you can't just, just start buying it. Like, I understand that they're very good orators, and they can make you feel. And they use these big words that you have to find in a Webster dictionary, or you have to have a dictionary close by to know what the heck they're talking about. But that doesn't mean that they know exactly what they're talking about. And people start to get a little nervous by listening to these individuals. It's the same old dialogue all the time. When you're talking about the New Orleans Saints, don't matter what the New Orleans Saints get. What is the narrative? They got Jameis Winston, so they hopeless. Jameis Winston is not good enough to lead the Saints anywhere except to the couch, right? That's the narrative. No matter if you got Tyrann Mathieu, no matter if you got Alvin Kamara, no matter if you got Michael Thomas, it does not matter because Jameis Winston is your quarterback. That is the narrative of the national media. I don't want to say the majority, but a really good percentage of them. That is the narrative. So I don't understand. It is about understanding. It is about understanding Saints football. Who understands Saints football more than Saints fans? The blue check mark worship is a thing because people don't do their own research and can't just lazily pull up that check mark to speak for them. Rather, they thought it, expressed it, sort of. Here's the thing, Eugene. Twitter isn't real. You know what I'm saying? Like, Twitter is not, Dave Chappelle said it best. Twitter is not a real place. It's not. Who cares? Who cares? Okay? I'm not saying, it's great that you have these public figures. You know what I'm saying? That they have these check marks, and a lot of them know what they're talking about. I don't want to say just because you got a check mark don't mean you know what you're talking about. But what I'm saying is, you have power. You have influence. You know, if you know what you're talking about, you can be in the room. You can be in the room. How is it, that I can be on social media? I don't have a check mark, but how is it that I can sit down and talk to people that do? How is it? You know what I'm saying? Like, and how is it that I can constantly get those individuals back on the show? How is it that I can do these things? What I'm saying is, you have the power. You have the influence. You do not have to accept what everybody say. You don't. These guys work extremely hard. All those reporters that I named: Ross Jackson, Nick Underhill, Jeff Nowak, Luke Johnson. You know what I'm saying? John Hendricks. These guys work extremely hard to give you information. I don't know how these dudes do it. I don't know how they get sleep. But they put this information out here for us to be informed, and we should have an appreciation for that. And when you hear individuals that just come there with lazy takes, we talking about the Saints today. So let's talk about Jameis Winston and them interceptions. Now, what more, what else did you learn? Who else did you call? Did you try to get in touch with any of those individuals to try to find out what's really going on? Or did you just go out there and just go with some lazy dialogue about Jameis Winston throwing interceptions back in 2019? I'm just being real, man. I'm just being 100% real. Man, appreciate that. Yeah, Hoodie Jew. Man, Hoodie Jew works, work hard too. You know what I'm saying? He puts out content. He does a really good job. I'm not trying to disrespect nobody. I'm referring to like the individuals that are, like doing the reporting. Like, as far as like being, out there at the Saints facility, like tweeting and writing and leaving and writing articles, okay? And doing stuff like that. I'm not saying like of course, Hooded Jew, Big Q, myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, all these individuals, like, we, give our opinions and our views and our, to give good content and put that thing into perspective. But I'm just saying, like, there are certain things that those guys get access to that we don't. And they put that stuff out here for us to be informed. That's what I'm getting at. That's like my whole point. You know what I'm saying? That's like my whole point. It's like certain things, like with Nick, right? Nick come out with different information from sources that we don't talk to, that we don't interact with. But that was no way trying to like take shots at anybody. I'm just saying, like, certain guys do certain things. So no, that is not a shot at any one of those guys. Those guys do some amazing and wonderful things, and they're really good at what they do as well. Last year, Packers lost 38-3 and ready to drum Rodgers to the unemployment line. Yeah, I remember that. Hoodie Jew, Marvin Newman, I'm Hoodie. Said, let me check him out. Be right back. Facts, Trump had a check mark. We know he full of ish. I'm not getting into the politics thing that divides us. Alan Jube, a.k.a. Hoodie Jew, a.k.a. the hardest working man on the planet. Casual Dex. Twitter is a nuclear pile. Best Saints podcast. TJ Big Q. Ross, Deuce, Hoodie, Jube, etc. No particular order. All great. I'm just, man, look, all as long as, you know what I'm saying, I'm considered, you know what I'm saying, by you all to have a good show, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can have my idea about how I feel, but I think all those guys are amazing. You know what I'm saying? All those guys work hard. And I think they do really good and have really good content. Like I said, I ain't trying to knock anybody. I got respect for anybody that works hard and tries to put light on this team. My spot, TJ Jones, Raw, Jags, Hoodie, Jube, Under the Dome. Man, where your spot ain't at? Jerry go everywhere, man. It's like, Jerry, if I'm looking at anything that's New Orleans Saints related, you're going to see Jerry down that thing. So, I mean, Jerry know everybody and been around here for I don't know how long. I mean, I say Jerry is like one of the 4 people that subscribe to the channel. TJ, I wanted to invite you and the Who Dat Nation to the Fix That kickback on September 24th. There will be a huge exclusive game. You guys have never experienced it to promote our HBCU tour. All right, well, that sounds good, man. Make sure, like, around that time, you start really getting close. You start putting the information out there, and feel free to plug that information, man, throughout the time that you comment. Check out Nola Bros 2 Family. Much love, TJ. We like that. Let's see. I can't wait to see Taysom Hill go off at tight end. Let's see. Hey, TJ, on a break on the job and had to peep in for a sec to see my favorite sports podcast. I work too much to watch all them podcasts. Only 2 for me, TJ and Big Q, all I need. Well, look, man, there's a lot of great podcasters out there that create a lot of great content. TJ, are you coming to the practice in the Dome? No, I'm not coming to the practice in the Dome. The first thing I'm actually going to is the Saints versus Falcons game in week 1. I'll be in Atlanta for that. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to go to a few more of the games. No, I'm going to go to a game when they play Carolina. I'm going to go to a few games, man. I plan on doing some traveling. That's right, TJ. I'm everywhere. You definitely right, man. You definitely check out all Saints content. If nobody supporting Saints content, Jerry is. Adebo was the first rounder prospect before he opted out of his senior year. I'm not surprised one bit he's having the success he is so far. Yeah, but a lot of people don't know that. You know, they just think, oh man, he was a 3rd round pick, so that just symbolizes the type of player he is, but it's not. TJ, I looked at some breakdowns of Penny's performance against the Texans, and dude did a lot of good things, especially in the run blocking area. Well, yeah, but you know, you got to be able to block and protect the quarterback when guys are doing finesse moves for pass protection. After you read my comments about the preseason game, I'm going to spend that $10 and go. I always go to the Falcons game. Who that family? Who that TJ? Hope that you and your family are doing well, man. We doing fine, man. We back at it. Had a little spill with COVID, but we back, man. Would you start Winston in the preseason? Depends on how you feel. I'll give him a series. Ramsey, give him a shout out to Ramsey from Jerry. How did the Saints look today? Defense looked good. Offense had to clean some things up. Offensive line was having some issues with the pass rush of the Packers from all the reports that I read. Seems like that's what it is. How many quarterbacks did Coach Payton draft? None. Well, 1. 2. Garrett Grayson. They drafted a few, man. But any one of them that's like worth something? No. The highest one they had was like Garrett Grayson. I think he was a 3rd round pick out of Colorado State. Didn't do nothing. He drafted a few, but high, no. Never. You know, none of them like really was about nothing. You're like, you know, oh man, Drew retired, man. Here come his successor. None of them, you know, you got that indication. But yeah, they had a few. I'm trying to see, man, trying to make sure, because we're about to wrap it up, man. Really appreciate everybody for being here. Yeah, Tommy Steve and Garrett Grayson, Ian Book. Yep. You know, so that's 3. Thoughts on Myles Brennan leaving? No, I wasn't a fan of Myles Brennan. I didn't think he was very good. I'm sorry. I know that, we idolize our LSU quarterbacks, but Myles Brennan was not a good quarterback. He was not. He had good moments at times, but he wasn't very good. Seriously. I think that the LSU Tigers quarterback room is better because he's not going to be the starter. It's just certain things that I feel like a quarterback should have. You got to have that dog in you. You got to have that clutch gene in you. He didn't have it to me. Not to be playing on that level. I think he's a serviceable quarterback, but he about the epitome of mediocrity when it comes to LSU quarterbacks. And I don't feel bad about saying that because the brother over 21 years old. So Brennan couldn't start with 3 different head coaches because he wasn't good enough. Every time Myles Brennan was in a game, a pick here, a pick there, an overthrow here, an overthrow there, he just wasn't good enough. Seriously. Like, I've given that guy a chance. How many guys have he sat behind waiting for his time? And that should tell you everything that you need to know right there. Like, you're waiting and buying your time, right? Instead of you stepping up and seizing the opportunity. You got to wait for this guy to get disgruntled. You got to wait for this guy to step down because COVID hit. You got to wait for this guy to leave and graduate for you to even get opportunity. Dude wasn't it. Okay? I'm not going to just celebrate a guy, because he played at LSU and he was out there. And people act like this man should have a statue erected in his honor or something like that. Dude played forever, didn't he? Dude played more than Bruce Eugene. You know what I'm saying? He played longer than him at Grambling. Like Bruce Eugene, how many years that boy played? About 20 years at Grambling. Myles Brennan played about 7 years, man. He a couple more years. He would have had an NFL career in college. I just wasn't a fan. I'm sorry. People are like, man, congratulations. Congratulations for what? Like, what did he do? Like, what did he really do? Like, what did he do? What did he do besides wet the bed, the big games? I think he may have had like one decent game that I think of. I want to say when it was who did they play? I can't remember. He had one decent game. They played. I want to say they played against Florida, if I'm mistaken, and he had like one decent game. But I'm supposed to just remember that, okay? I'm supposed to remember Myles Brennan like I remember the Alamo. Okay, am I supposed to do that? Only thing I got to say about that is Bishop Bowen.
Hell no, to the no, hell to the no.
I'm just being serious, man. Like But if people want to look at him like he a legend, but that's the world we live in today, right? The term GOAT just get tossed around like, like pizza at your local pizzeria. Like, man, he goated. He goated. Like, goated for what? Like, y'all don't have a problem with that. Y'all don't have a problem with people just using the term GOAT. Man, he a GOAT. I'm a GOAT. Like, GOAT is designed for people that made an impact. That's what GOATs are for. GOATs is for people that gonna be remembered. Like, you can't tell the history of like Dion said, like Coach Prime said, you cannot tell the story without these people. That is the definition of a GOAT. Not a person that went out there, caught 2 touchdowns in a game, in week 5 or something. Like, that don't make you a GOAT. Myles Brennan don't get the Lifetime Achievement Award because of longevity. Like, what did you do while you was there besides sit on a bench and listen in? Dude was the most informed quarterback in LSU history. And not because of what he did on the field. It's because he always had a headset on, so he knew exactly what the heck was going on. He knew about everything. Shoot. He listened to little small conversations. He listening to the coach saying, I'm going to go to the bathroom, I'll be right back. He listened to all that. He's the most informed quarterback in LSU history. And not for the reasons that he should be. But the final thought about the New Orleans Saints, first day of joint practice. Good to see the guys being productive. Didn't hear about any fights. We have a poll going on Twitter. The question is, will Trevor Penning get into a fight with a Green Bay Packers defender? So feel free to go to TJAY Jones 8 on Twitter and answer that poll question. And also check out the State of the Saints podcast YouTube channel, youtube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Previous episodes available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. Shouts out to everybody that is in the chat. Hit that like button on your way out. Once again, hit that subscription button on your way out. Really do appreciate it. And once again, much love to every Saints podcaster out there. Shouts out to everybody on the ground giving us all this information that we need for us to know about our favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. And I'm looking forward to talking about this team throughout the week. I got my guy Jeff Nowak going to be on the show on Thursday. Talk a little bit about the New Orleans Saints, his new podcast he has with WWL Steve Geller, and also some of the breakdown of some of the film that he actually checked out. So Jeff Nowak, a really good friend of the show, coming back once again, and we're going to get some more guests on the show as time go on, man. Some familiar faces are going to show up and some people that we never had on the show. This is the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate your time. Much love to you. Have a good morning, noon, night, whenever you're checking out this podcast. And like always, all I got to say is, who dat?